Hey everyone, so I know you guys liked my previous videos on Redken color brands. I did one on the Redken Shades EQ and the Shades EQ Cream, and one on Redken Chromatics. So today I'm going to be doing one on the awesome Redken Color Gels. So I had purchased this about a year ago when Redken Color Gels was still out. This was their Tri-Color Gels. It's their permanent color that guarantees rich, saturated results with exceptional gray coverage. And inside you get they give you a 20 volume developer, $25 voucher for the Redken Exchange, a Redken insert, which is a basic mini shade chart of what to expect from the color line. Goes over all of their little tones. And a gigantic salon wall chart that you can use in your salon or in the back bar. The wall chart is very helpful if you want to get a quick reference without having to go through the swatch book and get color all over it. So if you've got like color on your hands, you don't know what to mix, you can run to the back bar, look at the wall chart, and that will give you more than enough information. My personal favorite, Redken Color Remover Stain Wipes. These are an absolute must if you're using color gels because of the texture. It's a very different consistency that I'm used to working with. The pH bonder kit, and $25, 20% off any Redken retail new user. Very cool. So I'm gonna use this. I didn't even know that was in there. And then you get I use this, the applicator bottle. So what I like about this kit, first off, is that it gives you a really good introduction on what to expect from the line. It tells you all the information on here. So I always recommend to my students or any aspiring cosmetologist, when you get your license, if you're unsure about a color brand, get the kits. Ask the sales associate how many you have to buy, because that way you can actually get a good amount. But for, I think this is like getting 10 of the color gels. I picked out 10 awesome shades. Well, guess what? I also got free developer, because this is free after you get a certain amount. Free developer, free wall chart, free vouchers, all of that comes with the box. So that's what I really like about this color brand, is you get free stuff for a certain amount that you purchase. Going to Redken Color Gels. So Redken Color Gels, from what I've heard from my cosmetology teacher back in the day, is actually a little bit more older. It, I think, came before Color Fusion. I don't know if that's true, but it makes sense because liquid color, which by the way is an American thing, is something that was very popular 20 and way before that, 20 plus years ago. It's really what we had to work with. We didn't have these cream colors. We really didn't know much about color. There wasn't this big stress about measuring color. But now that we've become more scientific with our practice, or as Redken used to call it, the scientific approach, we want to measure everything. So color gels is impressive because you can actually measure it in the bottle without using a color scale. I use a color scale just to be safe. They have 10, 20, 30, and 40 volume developers, and it's a special emulsified developer. You cannot mix color gels with the Color Fusion developer, and don't mix it with the Shades EQ developer. You're not going to get an even result. This color is designed to react with the liquid developer, and it becomes like a gel-like consistency. It's really odd how you mix it. My own personal opinion though, I will tell you guys right off the bat, the bottle is not the most efficient for it. I prefer to use a different bottle because I found that while using the bottle, I literally had a good amount of color that was left over after I beat the crap out of the bottle and had it come out. So, be mindful of that. There is color thickener that you can use. You can actually put a color thickener in a color bowl if you try to mix the color gels in a bowl. I've done that and it still was a mess. So please apply this with the applicator bottle. You need to use any kind of liquid color bottle because it does make a mess, and if you squirt too hard, it actually explodes. So it is a little bit more of a messy color. Even though it says a gel-based color, I think it's still more of a liquid. It's very similar to the old style liquid colors. The color also claims to be low ammonia, and I will be honest, I don't know how true that is because I personally found that this color stunk a lot more of ammonia compared to the Color Fusion. And in addition, it covered gray a lot better than Color Fusion. The colors, because I'm going to go over the swatch book for you guys, the colors in this line tend to be a little bit more deeper. They tend to be a little bit more of a heavier pigmented base. So that is really good for gray hair. You get good coverage that way. It's not as translucent as Color Fusion is. So if you're mixing color, be prepared to get a slightly deeper result, and that's why I prefer to always go with shade lighter while using this. The other good news with this color is that it actually matches up perfectly to Shades EQ, and the names are very similar. So like in the video I did, I used 6R Rocket Fire on my retouch, and then I used 06 Rocket Fire and Shades EQ to refresh everything else, and the results are perfect, even from root to tip. Very easy to apply. The one downside is that even when you do your best application, you still will get a slight overlap. So that's a downside, but it did not darken, it didn't band. This is actually a month of the color. I used 6R. I also found that it faded much more quicker in my hair. I don't know if that's because I was in the pool, I was outside in the sun, but it faded a lot lighter, so I was impressed by that. It lifts your hair really well, so don't worry about it being a lower lift one. I did notice that when I did it, the color was a lot darker, and then it immediately faded out to a lighter shade that I was impressed with. I even had a lot of the artists at the Energizing Summit comment on how good my color looked, and I'm like, Redken represent. So I also want to mention the stain removers. If you get color anywhere, the Redken Color Gels tends to be very clear when you first apply it. It has like a light off-color pigment, and then when you apply it all around the hairline, if you get it here, it becomes very dark. So the color stain removing wipes help to get it off immediately. If you have a client that stains well, this color will definitely stain around their scalp. So I usually tell them wait a few washes or take the stain removing wipes to take it off. So I'm gonna go and talk about the swatch book and a little bit about the color families. You got, where a lot of people get confused, you have your neutrals or your naturals, which are actually they're cool toned. Even though they're natural, they are cooler based. So if you're covering 100% gray, you might wanna go for the neutral warm, or the natural warm, which has a slightly more gold and warm base to it, like a tan color. That comes out much nicer compared to the naturals, because it might be a little too cool toned. And the natural ash is incredibly cool toned. That will make your gray hair look even grayer, so don't make that mistake of doing that. You can cover gray with, if I can look at the insert, what I think is really creative is you can, oh, also, they do have Highlift hair colors, and I have not used them. I would assume they're a little bit stronger, so if you're trying to remove color or bump some of it out, you can actually use the double 40 volume and the blue or the violet fashion gels, and that will lift the hair up to 5 levels. So, let's see. According to Color Gels, and I'm reading right off the insert, this is versatile, reliable, and dynamic permanent hair color. It's a select dye system that contains 100% oxidative, UV stable, long-lasting dyes for holding power and resistance to fading. Contains wheat protein and avocado oil for strength and condition. Formulated with a traditional 10-level system. Also includes fashion gels, achieve ultra high lift with superior tonal control, lighten believably and brighten brilliantly in one simple step. Follow the formulation guidelines, are very simple. So you have superior gray coverage families. Let's see. To maintain the most control when covering gray, select a formula no more than 2 levels lighter than natural hair. Really depends on the level of gray you're working with. On 100% gray, you can do just about anything. So up to 100% gray, you can use these 5 superior gray coverage families alone or mixed to cover 100%. And those are the natural with N only, natural warm NW only, warm gold WG only, copper brown CB only, or ruby brown RB only. The copper brown and the ruby brown are really good to mix together with the red series. If you have a client that's originally been coloring their hair with a pure red series and now they're gray and they don't want to get the pinky look, use the RB mixed in according to the formulation chart and the dilution chart for gray hair to achieve the same red result without having it be too muddy or too brassy and hot. So it gives you an example there. The best practices is to apply zone 1, use 1/4 inch diagonal partings, then use the opposite direction to cross check, use a timer to make sure your timing is accurate, common sense, and then what I do for the last 10 or 15 minutes is I apply the Shades EQ everywhere else. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can actually shampoo the hair, apply it everywhere, and then rinse out. Let's see, so They do have a clear, and I will say the clear is one of my favorites because the clear can be used if someone is wanting to get rid of hair color that's in their hair. What I'll do is I'll use a color remover. Best example, box black hair dye, multiple applications. I use a color remover, take it out, and I take the clear with 20 or 30 volume, I put it over there, process it for 45 minutes, rinse, give them a deep condition, put a toner on them, send them out, and sometimes you do it again. I've gotten great results at frying the hair off by doing that, as opposed to using a bleach. The clear alone is a really good product for getting pure levels of lift. You can use a clear with 10, 20, 30, 40 volume to get pure lift. Just know that if you use a clear with 40 volume on dark hair, you're gonna pull a lot of orange. Likewise, if you have someone who's at a level 7 and you mix 20, 30 volume with clear, you might not get the level 10, you're gonna get some yellow, so you'll have to tone. So the old school way of doing hair was you can use the clear, put the clear everywhere, bump them up a few levels, and then take your toner and put the toner over it. So you can actually get fashion red results without having to bleach the hair. I've done it way back in the day where I mixed clear with 40 volume on my own, applied it to the regrowth, got it to that nasty, brassy, orangey color. Then I took the toner, or the demi-color, that was a red shade, and I applied it everywhere, and I got the nice fashion results. So, let's see, the clear is also really good for any of the shades. Like if you have the 5RV and you want to make lighter red violet shades, you can add the clear to it and dilute it lighter. You can use a clear with any shade just about. Or if you don't feel comfortable, you can mix shades. Like if you want to get a 7 warm gold, they don't have that. You can mix equal parts of the 6 and the 8, and that makes your 7. You can use it to also make the color more translucent. So that's really how I would use clear personally. The Highlift hair color, you cannot mix anything else, so don't mix a clear in there, that just dilutes it down. You can mix the blue and the violet Highlift hair color to get like a pearl color, and that will make a nice Highlift blonde color for clients that just want a very simple single process color. So I think I covered everything on the Shades EQ Color Gels. I personally like it. I think it's great for covering grays. I personally find that it's a little bit more alkaline compared to the Color Fusion. Comment down below if you agree. I know a lot of other stylists will say the same thing, that they don't really believe it's low ammonia. I had someone when I was behind the chair who she always used color gels on her client because she got the best gray coverage. I find they're very good for gray coverage. I actually use them on my grandma, who is 100% white, up at the regrowth. We do a 10 neutral warm or natural warm, and we get pure gray coverage by doing that. I process her for 45 minutes, and that's the big key. I find that these colors work best if you process them for the full 45 minutes. Again, always check because there's a lot of variables that go into that. But on my own hair, and when I got Vibrant Red, I did 45 minutes for this, even though it's faded out quite a bit. And I just want to let you guys know that I think Color Gels has been discontinued. They're replacing it with a brand new line, the Color Gels Lacquers, which I've heard mixed things on. I haven't tried it yet, but when I get the chance, I will purchase some of the shades and get one of their usage kits so I can do a video of me trying it and a review. So at this point, if you guys want to stop the video, you can stop it here, but I'm going to continue and I'm going to go on to the swatch book. So let me get my swatch book and I'll see you guys in one sec. All right, everyone. So this is the Color Gels swatch book. This is all the information you need to know. I always say get a swatch book because that will give you all the information that you need to know as the artist to do hair color scientifically and have fun and create amazing results. It tells you everything from the tonal families to the processing times. So right here we have the greens. So GN is green. Ash is not green, by the way. Ash is actually a blue color. So green natural is formulated with a gray background and a yellowish green tone to control warmth. It comes in levels 4, 6, and 8. These are used on clients that want to get a higher lift brown result, and you can control the red tone with the green. So if you use the green, you're going to cancel out the red. You might be left with a slight warmer brown, so be mindful of that if you're lifting more than 2 levels. I prefer the greens for doing cooler tone brunettes that want a deep green. I also think that you can use them for fashion results because they have a slight green reflect. If you're doing vivids, you can do a green base and then do foils and put a nice green color in there, and it blends in nice, so you get like a hunter green look of the forest. So the greens I also don't think are suitable for use on gray hair because it will make them look incredibly drab and dull. Oh, and I forgot to mention the green shades are 4GN Forest, 6GN Moss, 8GN Ivy. Then you have your AB, your ash blue, blue and silver tones for ultimate control of warmth. I actually like mixing the AB and the GN for incredible cooling results. That creates a super ash shade that controls warmth, and you can lift to higher levels while controlling warmth. So your tones are 5 AB Twilight, 7 AB Moonstone, 8 AB Stardust. I've actually mixed the 7 AB with a gold neutral to create a very nice brown without as much gold, so it actually controlled some of the warmth. And as we lifted my client, she got a nice brown result, and we did some highlights over it. You have your Natural Ash, which is a corresponding corrective tone at each level to help control warmth. So the background is kind of tan, if you see that, and the tone goes up. The 10N is actually really violet. I've tested it on my swatches. If you have 4 NA Chicory, 5 NA Walnut, 6 NA, which is Moroccan Sand, 7 NA Mirage, 8 NA Mojave. The names are really interesting. 9 NA Platinum Ice, 10 NA Silk. These are really nice colors for natural or about 25% gray. So this is the one color that I like for just a general mixing guidelines for doing any kind of color. The naturals, which are balanced neutral tones for complete never too warm gray coverage. They do have a slight, I don't know if I would say a slight bias to being cool, but they kind of are. They're a tan background, but the tone of it is actually very deep. It's like a cooler one. You have 3N Espresso, 4N Hazelnut, 5N Coffee Bean, 6N Suede, 7N Bamboo, 8N Sesame, 9N Cafe Alot, 10N Cream Latte. Cream Latte is a really nice light one, but look at the difference between the two. These colors look incredibly different at each level. And the one downside that I found was that the neutrals don't have anything below a 3, so there is no 2 and there is no level 1, which is kind of a bummer. You have your Gold Beige, which is champagne tones that are never too warm. So what I like about Gold Beige is that it's a balanced gold, so you don't have to worry about someone turning into a screaming orange head in your chair. They come in levels 5, 7, and 8. Level 5 GB is Truffle. Level 7 GB is Praline Cream. It gives you a very nice result for low lighting. I like doing these low lights over a nice light blonde. And 9 GB Champagne. I've used the 9 GB over a level 10 base because she didn't want to go too deep, and just by adding that one level deeper, it actually made her look like she had more dimension. These are your natural warms that come in a full levels from level 1 all the way through level 10, and these are more accurate to what a natural or a neutral shade looks like. The natural warm browns and blondes, the natural warm is rich warm browns and blondes that cover gray completely. They have a very broad tone right up here and a warm tan background color. You have level 1 NW, which is Midnight. You have level 2 NW Chocolate. You have 3 NW Mocha Java, 4 NW Maple, 5 NW Cappuccino. Sorry about the camera, it's having a problem focusing. 6 NW Brandy, 7 NW Chestnut, 8 NW Safari, 9 NW Irish Cream, and 10 NW Macadamia Nut, which is one of my go-to formulas for clients that want that translucent blonde result. It may not cover all of the gray, but you get a very nice result with it. We're almost getting there. Your NGs, which are your natural golds. These are natural soft golden browns and blondes. They come in a nice yellow tone and a brown background color. All of these shades, by the way, have with the exception of the cool tones and the no background colors, have a slightly balanced background color of a brown to tan. Anything neutral will. You have 4 NG Pecan, 5 NG Caramel, 6 NG Topaz, 7 NG Saffron, and 8 NG Sunflower, 10 NG Honey. The 10 NG Honey looks yellow, but it comes out very nice and rich. If you mix it with the Gold Beige, it becomes a very nice shade. The Gold Beige can be used to actually cover gray from what I found. I have met with the creator of that shade from Redken a while back. One of the classes, Warm Golds, WG. The warm golds are golden tones that cover with exceptional gray coverage. These have a orange to yellow tone, and they have a deep tan brown background color. So you have 4WG Sun Tea, 6WG Mango, which this is one of my favorite fillers to use in the demi-permanent line, 8WG Golden Apricot. These are one of my favorite shades to this family to use on brunettes, because brunettes don't have to be boring and brown. You can actually add a little bit of warmth to them and give them some life without being too warm or too red. And that's where the warm golds come in. CV, the copper browns, these have an orange tone and a slight brown to tan background color. Copper brown is brown with warm and copper tones with exceptional gray coverage. You can use these with some of the other fashion reds here if the client wants to still maintain his red look. You have 4CB Clove, 5CB Sandalwood, 6CB Cognac. And the Cognac actually has a slight purple tone to it if you look at it carefully. This is the RB, the Ruby Brown shades, or the red brown as we know it. This is brown with a cool red violet, with cool red violet tones and exceptional gray coverage. So you got your red violet tone and a tan background color. And they come in 3RB, which is a mahogany shade, 5RB Manzanita. And I find that if you mix these with some of the fashion reds, you still get the same result on 100% white hair. I've used it for one client who wanted to maintain her red in auburn, and we still got the same effect without having her roots turn too dark or too hot. So you got now your fashion shades, which are no background color. You can see the background is completely white here with an orange tone. These are your red oranges, which is a dirty word in hairdressing. The minute you say orange, I've seen clients literally freak out in the chair. So I always say it's auburn. Red orange is a light to dark red orange, no added brown. You have 5RO Paprika, 6RO Bonfire, 7RO Mango, or Marigold. Sorry, Marigold. If you mix the Marigold with the 7R, a flame red, you actually get a very nice purpley red result. And sometimes I find these shades aren't accurate. Your hair might be a little bit deeper or more vibrant depending on your level and developer used. If you mix these with 30 or 40 volume on darker bases, you can get that nice fashion red result, as opposed to just going 20 volume, because you're exposing more warmth and you're depositing a lot of warmth. So just know that for creating fun reds. My personal favorites, I love these two shades, is the R series, the red. These are intense red with increased tonal depth and no added brown, so you get a pure red. So you get your pure red from a gentle, not gentle, a cool, intense purpley red to a medium red and to a very, very bright red. You have 4R Lava, 6R Rocket Fire, one of my favorites, and that's the one I have in my hair now. 7R Flame. This one is a really cool red to mix around with the red violet. And these reds are very cool toned. They may look like they're pure red. They are kind of a pure red, but they're actually slightly on the cooler base, especially the 6R, and it comes up like with a slight purple hue in the light. So finally, in the last of the permanent shades, you have the RV, the red violets. These are cooler red violet tones and no added brown, so you have like a nice purpley wine color. And you have 4RV Cabernet and 5RV Scarlet. The 5RV Scarlet is one of my favorites, and it mixes perfectly with the Shades EQ 5RV. You get a perfect match. You can mix this with the R's or the red oranges to get a nice brighter red result with control of the warmth, because the violet will tone out some of the warmth in the red or the red orange shade. So finally, you have your Fashion Gel Blonde series. I think this line used to have more shades. Back in the day when I've used it, we had a lot more of the options, but I think they might have cut it down for this version. You have your Blonde Series V Violet for control of yellow, and your Blonde Series B for control of orangey tones. Mix them together and you get a pearl which controls both, and you can use this at a starting level 5 because you'll lift the hair 5 levels. So you have everything from your color wheel, all that theory is the same. Know the color families, read all of this, the technical information, and the basics. Alright guys, so sorry my camera ended up stopped filming. I did not realize that I was at the last 10 seconds. Technology is weird like that sometimes. But I was saying that I really wish you guys the best with the formulations. Make sure you read the technical information. Technical information is everything that you need to know as a colorist, and that's what I always tell people my big crazy secret is to knowing all this. I do a crazy thing called reading. When you go through and you read everything first, I was lucky enough to have a cosmetology instructor that stressed that and the importance of actually going through and reading the literature, highlighting it if you need to highlight it. Because all of us hairdressers are dyslexic to a certain extent, I truly believe that. I always find it helpful to highlight something or circle it so you don't get lost, or if you want to make important points pop out. You can get all the information that you need here. I always think it's important for a salon owner to photocopy the technical information and hand it out to new stylists so you get a nice packet of information and you can kind of go over it with them when you're either doing training with them or if they want to enhance their own color knowledge. Color manuals are important because they prevent you from making mistakes. So a lot of errors that I've seen stylists make behind the chair were when they take the color gels and they take the color fusion developer, think they're one and the same, and they mix them and they have a giant mess. And heaven forbid if they put that on a client, the color doesn't turn out right. It's got like, you know, leopard spots, or it ends up too warm, too dark, not the right shade. It's because they didn't follow the directions. They give you case study examples in here that help you formulate. It tells you everything with how to mix it, the timing, the lift. I will say that regardless of the developer that you use, you can still process for up to 45 minutes for great coverage. So that's my own little bit of advice, not to necessarily go against this, but when you've been doing hair color as long as I have, you kind of know that 45 minutes is the standard for gray coverage. That's for if you want pure gray coverage results. So I do like this line. I think that it is great. I'm kind of bummed they got rid of it. I'm nervous to try the Color Gels lacquers because I don't know how it's going to turn out. I've heard it's a little bit more translucent. It's a little bit more similar to Shades EQ, if that's even possible, because this one was, and they've made all of the names and the numbers the same as Shades EQ so you can get a perfect tonal result. So other than that, I will say too that it's interesting how the natural ash, the 9NA Platinum Ice, is the exact same shade as the 09V in Shades EQ. So that's really interesting that Shades EQ, even though it's a violet, it has no background color, comes out near identical to that. I also want to say that these are great for blondes. If you want blondes with cool tone results, please use the color gels if you have any left, because you get that extra added pigment that will cancel out warmth compared to using a translucent color that might expose a little bit too much if you're lifting more than 2 levels. So Color Gels is well worth the investment. I did use the pH bonder and I'm in love with this. If you add this to your color services, you can actually increase the price of your color. I always increase my prices and I use this because it's a built-in price, like a non-negotiable option. Like if a client tells me don't put pH bonder, I'll say, oh no, don't worry, and then I usually end up doing it anyway. Or I'll explain to them, this is what you really should do. Ideally, that this pH bonder is insurance for their hair. This will prevent hair breakage. It's a bonder. And if you put this in the color, it makes the color adhere to the hair color better. And you can get really good gray coverage results while using this. And there's no need to bump up the developer, no change in mixing consistency, and no compromise on processing time. And it maintains the lift. And it helps to increase visible shine, touchable smoothness, better elasticity, and helps reduce the breakage and increase strength. It's the power of pH science. Really good product. It's very similar to the other big bonder out there, but I definitely recommend using this in any of your color services so you can make money as a stylist, but also help keep your clients' integrity of their hair. And when they start seeing that their hair feels a lot better after using it, it's more stronger, it's vibrant, they'll put down the box and they'll ideally stay with you as a client, because getting clients to stay with you is one of the toughest things that you'll deal with in this industry. And Color Gels, great product. Comment down below if you have any questions on Color Gels that I didn't touch on. I'm a little tired, so I think I covered everything that I needed to. If I didn't, let me know down below. And I also want to know from you guys, have you guys tried Redken Color Gels? If you're an older stylist, I'd love to hear your own experience using it as the line has evolved. So, like, comment, hit that subscribe button down below so I can continue to make more awesome content for you guys. I am really excited to be doing all these videos this summer, so I'm super grateful for that. So have a great summer, everyone, and have fun with experimenting with color gels.